Hey, welcome to Red Rock Ridge ALC News. I'm your host, Stephen Kuntz. We got a new news studio. We're going to make one video for the rest of the week. Tim's going to go over to the chemistry assignment here shortly. But before that, I'm going to go over your March Madness assignment for me. We didn't have March Madness this year, but we still have March Madness PowerPoint. We are going to cut out the paper. Don't do the paper. If you've started it, don't worry about it. But I do, if you have done it, there's like one or two of you, you can get extra credit. So I think that one dude out there, you know who I'm talking about? Good job, man. So you have one PowerPoint to make on any influential American. Or for that other person that's doing the famous Australian that I okayed, that's okay too. Rawr. So, your PowerPoint, 10 slides at least, all right? Name, date of birth, early childhood and early education, fun facts on your person. That should be easy. Share it on Google. This is not difficult, folks. And I also want the significant impact that they've made on U.S. history and on America. All right? So, no research paper. We're not going to be debating. I don't see that happening. So, all you got is a PowerPoint for that and your core work. You all have that work out there. Do it. Please, for the love of God, do it. Tim, I'm going to turn it over to my right-hand man here. Timmy Poo.
Okay, the nice part about this is we discussed this, and in biology, you were supposed to have a 3-page paper that you were supposed to write also on your disease. We are going to cancel that. So those of you who I have talked to or parents that I've talked to that said the 3-page paper is due at the end of today or end of this week, tell them that I said in the video, you don't have to do that. You can show them the video even if you want to, but the PowerPoint presentation has to be done, okay? In the PowerPoint presentation, remember, it's got to be a disease state and something that you're familiar with. Some of you have picked depression. Some of you have picked alcoholism. Some of you have picked, trying to think of another one that somebody's called in. I can't quite think of it right off the top of my head. But remember, these have to be due. Okay, so it's got to be something that matters to you. I have received one or two. Now, when you do these PowerPoints, you can't use texting words and abbreviations. It's got to be using clarified words. It's got to be right sentences, right spelling. All of that is scored. Now, if you're in biology, you also have your word searches that you're handing in. And then you also have to do this PowerPoint presentation. So this PowerPoint is very important. Remember, in your PowerPoint presentation, you are going to present a disease state that you are familiar with. You're going to present it in the fact that, okay, first of all, what is the disease? How prevalent it is? In other words, how often does it occur? How do they diagnose it? Are there special medications for it? These are all things that you can put into it, and you can do some research on that. So, for example, if it was CPVT for my son, I would say, how did we diagnose it? He had to do a stress test. He had to do a cardiac stress test. Okay? He had to do a special test, and then that showed certain waves, and then I would give an example on that. So, he's on special medications. He's on beta blockers, which slows his heart rate down. So I would put that in there, and you can put the cost of that. For example, some people in the past have had patients that have people that have arthritis, and you can have some certain arthritis medications that cost thousands of dollars. Okay, so you can put that in there. If you wanted to, cholesterol, there's a cholesterol agent that people could take for heart disease. That's $14,000 a month. It lowers your cholesterol, but it's pretty expensive. So that's something that you can have slides on. So your introduction slides, your slides about the disease, and then also why you picked this disease. So, for example, let's say you have a person who had knee surgery, okay? And that's what you put, artificial knee. can talk about how, if it was your mom, how it took forever for her knee to heal. So you were doing all the projects for her. She was taking pain medications. You could tell what the pain medications were. You could see if she had any side effects to those pain medications. You could also talk about the nerd in the background, we don't know what he's doing. He's got a nice ponytail. You could talk about a variety of different things with that. So you could say, hey, I had a driver to all our appointments. She couldn't drive. All of those things are things that you can put out in your PowerPoint. So it's how it affects you and your family or someone that you know. So that's the biology part of it. Okay. Now that is going to be due by the time you're done. You should have anywhere between 10 and 15 slides. And like I say, make sure you're checking for spelling errors and all of that stuff. Now, the other part we have is
Check on the spelling errors for me too, please.
yeah, you can't use you in place of YOU in your PowerPoint. That doesn't cut it. You can't use the abbreviations you use when you're texting. Okay? This may be the only
LOL.
project, yes, that you may do. Okay. All right, chemistry.
Jeez, I thought it was going to be quick, Tim. Holy moly.
I did too. The other day on the chemistry, we talked about charges. Okay? We talked about cross referencing. We talked about crisscross rule. Okay? And she hasn't seen you much either, so that's Nicole. Okay?
So the 3 people watching, you got to see all of us.
Yes. Some of you that are actually watching this. Now, if you remember correctly, we talked about the periodic table that I sent home that's in your packet. And when they talk today about oxidation charges, they want to know charges. What is the charge? That's all they want to know. Okay? So what is the charge of something? And remember, we said everything in this group, hydrogen group, was a +1. Everything in this group is a +2. Okay? This is a +3. This could be a +4 or a -4. I don't think that's on there. Nitrogen, oxygen is a -2. These are -3s, -1, and everything in this group doesn't have an oxidation charge. Okay? So, when we talk about this, they're going to say magnesium. What's the oxidation charge? And it's under the 2 + 2, so you would write +2. Okay?
It's not too hard, Tim.
It's not too hard for a +2. Okay? Oxygen, if they say the oxidation charge, it's a -2. Okay, very simple. Now, at some point in time, they may say group 12 or group 13. That's this group right here. So boron, aluminum, they're all a +3.
Boron. This is boron.
And they may say group 17. They're all -1 oxidation charge.
Tim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I heard oxygen and potassium went on a date. How was it?
Okay. Pretty good, huh?
That is pretty good.
All right, so that's when it would ask for oxidation charge. Oxidation just means what charge it is. So on your worksheets, you're going to see in examples of oxidation and ionic compounds. So down here, the bottom part of this worksheet is the oxidation part. So you would write calcium is a 2+. And you would find iodine on your periodic table. And you would find out that iodine with the symbol is a -1. Okay? That's for the bottom part. Okay? So you're just writing the element and what its charge are. Okay? Now there may be a group like ClO3, and that's going to be in your packet also. Just like NH4. If you see in your packet, you will find NH4, you will see where it says it is a +1. You will see where this is ClO3, you will see what that charge is. And you will find out, you will look up ClO3 on one of your packets in your worksheets, and you'll find out that's a -1. Okay? So that's all you're doing is writing the chart, this over here. So you would, for this one, you would write GA and you would find the charge and you look it up and it's a +3. Now you would look up ClO3 and you'd find that's a -1. So you're just putting the symbol and the charge in here. Now here, we're just using the crisscross rule.
Crisscross.
Remember, when we said if they are the same, you don't write them. So ones are the same, twos are the same, threes are the same, you wouldn't write them. So I have Na +1, fluorine -1. They're ones, they cross out, right? We don't write them. So when you write the formula, you would write it as NaF. That's it. Okay? Now we have NH4 +1, phosphorus -3. We crisscross that, right? Remember, everything is crisscrossed. We don't write the 1, so at the end it would be P, because we don't write the 1, and then we write NH4, and we have 3 behind it. So therefore, there's your crisscross. That's all you're doing is crisscrossing these numbers. And if it's a 1, we don't write it. So here I have a 2 and a 1. So it would be K2S, and we don't write the 1. That's all you're doing. K2, and you write crisscross.
Crisscross.
Okay? So that's on that worksheet. That's what you're going to be doing for the majority of this stuff. Okay? Another worksheet that you're going to have there again, it says list the oxidation numbers. Oxidation just means charges. Calcium, when you look on your periodic table, you find it's a +2. Okay? Now you have calcium oxide, and you would have to write the formulas. Calcium is a 2+, oxygen is a -2. Okay? The 2's are the same, right? They cancel out. You write CaO. That's all you write. Okay? Now copper 2, copper symbol is 2. This tells you the charge. So that's Roman numeral 2. So that's a 2+. Chlorine is a -1. We do the crisscross rule.
Chlorine.
Cl2. Okay? Now, on the bottom part, it is even easier. Because all you have to do is write the name of it. Okay? Remember, the first element you just write out. So Na stands for
Sodium.
sodium.
Bromide.
And you would go, remember, it's bromine, but because it's at the end, you drop the INE and type in IDE.
Bromide.
So it becomes sodium bromide. Okay? So this would be hydrogen.
Cl is chlorine.
So you would call it hydrogen chloride. Okay, pretty simple.
Yes.
Okay? Now that's all you're going to be doing on all of these, is naming these. Okay? Your last worksheet of the week is very similar to that. They're going to give you a symbol like KCl, and you're just going to name it. That would be potassium chloride. Okay? Now on the flip side, let's say they give you sodium bromide, and now they say write the chemical formula. Sodium is an Na+1. Bromide, when you look it up, is a -1.
NABR.
Crisscross rule, NaBr. That's all you're doing. That's all you have to do. Those 3 worksheets and your crossword puzzle or your word find for the week. Okay? Pretty simple. It's almost as easy as spinning a basketball on your finger. Hang on. There it is.
All right. Oh,
ALC 19 out. See ya.
get some work in.